Welcome in. Thanks so much for joining me. I'd like to discuss some tips for starting a meditation practice in this episode. I tend to focus a little bit more on people who are, already practicing meditation and or have been, more longer term practitioners in most of my content on my channels. But I thought, hey, why not do something for people just starting out? Or, this could even be for you if you already have a meditation practice, but you want to refresh. You want to hit the reset button. So it could work either way. So even if you have a meditation practice, stick around. There might be some tips and tricks for you as well. So when we're starting a meditation practice or refreshing it, as I was saying, often we have to approach it just like we would any other new activity in our life or activity that we're having trouble, getting a regular habit with, or we don't even have a habit built up yet. And so just as we would approach a new exercise routine, a new eating style, learning a language, anything like that, we can approach a meditation practice in the same way. And so there's a couple things here. One is actually like sitting down and writing down a plan, or typing it out, or recording an audio or video of yourself, whatever you want. And basically, based on some of the things I'm going to share, giving some ideas for you to write a plan. So that's the first thing. I would, get out a piece of paper, take some notes, and then based on those notes, start to make a plan for yourself. Now, the main key to this plan is to keep it really, really simple, right? And a little more, like how you could say, much less ambitious than you think you should be. So, for instance, if you want to start a daily meditation practice and you're kind of gung-ho to do 15 or 20 minutes, maybe reduce that to something like 5 minutes. Now, is 5 minutes enough meditation each day? No, but that's not the point. The point here is the first thing in our plan is really going to be more around building a habit. And in order to do that skillfully and to be successful in consistency with that habit, it's really good to just limit ourselves with the amount of time we're putting in. So I always recommend 5 minutes because this is something we can all do. There's very few people, I think, in the world who have an excuse for not having 5 minutes for something, even though it can feel like we don't have 5 minutes. But we often do. And, that might mean for some of us shuffling things around or, limiting time with something else that we can take 5 minutes away from, and we dedicate to that. So that's the first thing in your plan, 5 minutes a day, right? Dedicating to 5 minutes. And this also goes for those of you who are meditators or have a meditation practice, but you have struggled with consistency and you want to hit that reset button and reconnect to a formal daily practice. Just keep it simple, 5 minutes. Along those lines of simplicity, other than the time we're going to commit each day, the practice also needs to be really simple. Right. So there's lots of different practices I explore on my website, on my YouTube channel, podcasts, etc. So you can check out some of those. But in general, I would just recommend something you can do and something that's not so complex. So this is where often people default to a breath meditation practice, just basically paying attention to the inhalation, paying attention to the exhalation, doing that 5 or 10 times, taking a short break, 10 or 20 seconds, come back. So when we're brand new to meditation, actually what we need to develop is our skill of attention first. And that's fine. And then as we move on in our practice, then we can start to develop and connect to this quality of mind we call awareness in the Buddhist path. But first, attention is really important. It's not the ultimate goal of meditation to pay attention. It's not that unique. There's other ways we can learn, I guess, more focus and attention. But it's often the start because it's usually our weakest link. And so when we start to grow and build attention, then eventually we turn to look at the one who's paying attention. And that's where we can discover what's called the aware quality of mind, which actually then allows a much more transformative meditation practice. But you can find that in other videos, right? So I don't want to cover that here. You can go to some of my other podcasts or video content to discover that. So aside from the amount of time, keeping it simple with the practice you're going to work on each day, the next part is really about a certain attitude we're going to cultivate. And there's different kinds of motivations or intentions we can cultivate for a meditation practice. I think it's very powerful when we cultivate a meditation practice based on love, on care. And basic care just looks like a reminder at the beginning of our practice, maybe 5 seconds, 10 seconds, where we remember we're doing this because we care. We care about ourselves. We care about our well-being. We care about those around us. And if, initially that just needs to be your immediate family or friends, or that's fine. And we flash that in our mind for 5 or 10 seconds. We just flash this sense, I want myself and others to be happy. And I'm going to sit down and do this because I believe this is a way to train my mind to eventually have a happier mind, have a more grounded sense in my body, less attachment to stress, right? So that's fine as an initial motivation, right? In the Buddhist path, we then move on to some wider motivations towards awakening and altruism. But we have to start somewhere. And for me, if it's not based in care, it's based in achievement. So this would be sort of the flip side of it. So also when we're cultivating an attitude of care for why we're meditating each day for 5 minutes, etc., we are going to notice and pay attention to all those habits we have based on productivity or achievement. Now, I know this is a tricky thing to say because some people might think, oh, well, what's wrong with achievement? Don't we want to achieve things? Yes, of course. But when our mind is solely stuck on achievement, especially in today's sort of obsession with productivity, that can actually limit our practice a lot, and it can create stagnation and often frustration with our meditation pretty quickly. So along with that caring motivation you're developing at the beginning of practice, I recommend also developing, with that love and care or just care, a sense of ease, a sense of I'm not trying to get anywhere, right? And this is where 5 minutes can even be beneficial because it's such a small amount of time. Sometimes that achievement kind of productivity, over reliance on productivity mentality, it's easy to remedy that because it's only 5 minutes, right? So there's not too many expectations we can have. So I guess that's another way to put what I'm saying here. Work with dropping expectations. But often for me, when I'm working with that, I have to look at my motivations. I have to look at my intentions that are, maybe some of them are conscious, but many are often unconscious. And some of these ones around achievement, productivity, shoulds, all of that kind of stuff can really get in the way. So another part around attitude or motivation is how we close the practice. So again, if we're just going to take 5 or 10 seconds in the beginning before our breath practice or whatever meditation we're doing for 5 minutes or so, we take 5 or 10 seconds at the end to both reconnect to care, but also a sense of appreciation. And this really goes a long way. It seems, quite simple or maybe, not that effective. But when we just take 5 or 10 seconds to remember to appreciate that we actually took the time to do it, this creates a momentum where we're going to want to come back. And not only are we going to want to come back, we're going to want to eventually come back for longer. That's where, of course, at some point we extend those 5 minutes, but we do that in an organic, natural way. We do that not with a sense of achievement or rush or trying to get something or produce something. We do that out of a sense of care and appreciation, because eventually we're going to start to see the fruits of our practice, which, of course, in the beginning is just a little bit more presence, but that will really grow into, as I said earlier, awareness and some really powerful tools for working with our human life and human experience. So I just wanted to offer those here in this episode. Keep it a little bit short, to go along with this theme of simplicity. And of course, I think after 30 days, 30 days, 60 days, 1 or 2 months, you may want to think about, extending it to 10 minutes, 15 minutes or whatever. But we don't have to feel bad or shame if we need to keep it 5 minutes for a long time, because the whole point is you're building this habit, you're building this consistency. And I found with people I often work with, meditators I work with, that's more precious than actually the amount of time we're doing. Because if we're in fits and starts and we can't get the consistency going, it undermines our confidence. It undermines our appreciation I was talking about too. So as always, feel free to reach out with any questions you have. You're welcome to leave comments. I really appreciate that because it lets me know that this kind of content is interesting for you. I'm happy to do a part 2. Just comment part 2 there, and we can kind of continue this discussion. And as always, if you need some deeper support, feel free to reach out. You can always reach me at my website, scotttusa.com. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good one.